Welcome, dear students. The current session focuses on providing a summary of the characteristics of the English during the 19th and the 20th century period. I hope by the end of this session, you would have an overall view of the characteristics of this period. Well, my dear students, 19th and 20th centuries are the times that show a more enlightened and a comparatively far modern attitude towards linguistic questions. The issues of language, the problems of grammar, the questions regarding borrowings, whether they should be there or not be there, what is a standard language, what is the status of a standard language, where would we place dialects, all such controversial issues. When it comes to answer these questions, modern times, modern English language addresses them in a far, far more moderate way as we compare it with the previous, practices, exercises, or views. Well, if we just go back to the immediate, past, in the 18th century, what we notice was the time for rationalization. And everything had to be, proved logically. There was a desire for, making things fixed and, put into structure and given a shape and a form. If we go one step back, in Renaissance period, what we see is there was a desire for creativity. Every new thing would be tried. There would be a lot of keenness. Everything would be included. People would experiment with language. So these two periods, when we look at them, they were two extremes in a sense, that were contradicting each other. In this respect, when we look at the modern times, actually, modern times, the 19th and the 20th century modern English is quite moderate in that regard in dealing with all those issues that were previously treated with an extreme view. Coming towards, the overall attitude that was the main characteristic of this time, I would say that 19th and 20th century were the times when a far more tolerant perspective towards colloquial and regional forms of English language was shown. Before this, there had always been issues of what is a standard language, how it would be retained and it would be given a shape and form, why and how, the other, forms, the dialects, the other expressions, the colloquial forms, the informal forms are to be avoided. These had been the issues that created a lot of disputes through the history. For the first time, it was realized during the 19th and the 20th century that language grows. It grows with the passage of time. It changes according to the needs of the times. So, with all its flexibility, it should be accepted. So, the major characteristic of the English that has been, developed through these times is that it is far more tolerant. It has a lot of acceptability for non-standard forms, for the forms that are spread worldwide, for the colloquial uses as well. Well, if we focus at the particular, dimensions or the feeding streams of this totality of the modern English, the major characteristic with reference to change is that major changes came in vocabulary. Well, there were reasons for that. Of course, the times were changing, and during these times we can see the unprecedented, developments in science and in technology and in media. So, major changes that took place are with reference to vocabulary, and again they show a very moderate, approach towards including new words. There was this influence of science, as I said, of media and other factors that, created a kind of a gap where more words were required, and English language of the modern times, I would say, very, very sensibly filled up that gap. As far as grammar of the times is concerned, again, this is a characteristic of the modern English through the 19th and the 20th century, that the changes were far, far less. It was all about, retaining the stability of language. Some changes did, happen. However, they are not of, major nature. They did not change the overall structure of language. Overall, we can say that the whole period in totality was a period where the worldwide spread of English has taken place. At least it started everywhere, and this brought with it a lot of unity and diversity. Unity in the sense it connected the world through the English language, and diversity in the sense that different identities, different linguistic identities, different dialects contributed towards whatsoever is the shape and form of modern English language today.